Hello, everyone. It's Mr. Kepler. Just hopefully everyone is doing well. Trying out something new to kind of try to help us out in these pretty interesting times. Now, this week's work in particular, it's a little bit more reading intensive than the stuff that we've done in the past, but we've done this in class. We've done this a few times with our guided readings. Now, the reading may look daunting and the questions may look hard, but if you take a little time, questions will do make sense. Now, if you're doing it online, please take your time, read the document. It's a lot. I know. It's a lot for me to look at too, but you take the time and read it. It should help you with a lot of the questions that you may have later on. Now, I have gotten a couple questions this morning, especially about some of the stuff for Monday's work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through the questions and kind of give you a little bit of an explanation of what I'm kind of looking for when it comes to this particular work. Now, if I'm looking at Monday's number 1, when it says, what 2 states in the Dust Bowl region have panhandles? Now, if you look in the reading, which you're going to have to look at the reading, there are a few keywords in there that are bolded. Now, pretty much, if you do the reading and you look for that keyword panhandles, you should be able to find what 2 states have panhandles. They're not going to be together. They're going to be separate, but they will be pretty obvious if you look for that keyword panhandles. Plus, it'll help you with what's coming up in number 3 when it's asking you to give you the definition of a panhandle. All right. So that's number 1, what 2 states have panhandles. Now, number 2 says, could a child born in a soddy in the 1880s have been a farmer during the Dust Bowl years? Explain your thinking. Now, 2 key things to help you out. 1, you got to find the word soddies, which should be pretty easy. It's kind of like the word panhandles. Second thing is you got to find that date 1880, which if you're looking for a date in this document should be pretty easy. There's only a few in there. Now, finding that word soddy and finding that 1800s, it's not going to give you a definitive answer for it. You're going to might have to come up with one of your own. But essentially, it's asking you, could someone born in one of these soddies have been a farmer? Yes or no? You got to give me an explanation for your answer, either why yes or why no. But key thing you need to know for number 2 is what is a soddy? And if that has an impact on them being a farmer or not. So that's one thing to think about for number 2. All right. Number 3 should be pretty easy. We've done these a bunch of times before with our key terms and stuff. You got to define or explain those terms. Like for short grass prairie, which is that first one on there. Essentially, you got to tell me what a short grass prairie was. And if you look in the document, short grass prairie is bolded, so it should be easy to find. Using the context clues around it, you got to tell me basically what short grass prairie is. Same thing with soddies. If you find it for number 2, finding soddies for defining what it is should be pretty easy. That one should be pretty given. Now, where it says the Enlarged Homestead Act, you basically got to tell me what that act did. It's bolded in the text. Should be pretty easy to find. Essentially, if you can give me a brief description of what that act did or gave, should be a pretty easy find for that particular answer. Same thing with panhandle. Now, the panhandle in your text doesn't really tell you what a panhandle is, but if you do a quick Google search on what a panhandle is, or a state's panhandle, should be pretty easy to figure it out that way. The wonders of Google searching on the internet. And then this one about dusters. I've had a couple of questions about this morning. Now, when you hear the word dusters, you're going to probably instantly think of the thing that gets dust off stuff. Now, that may be true what a duster is, but it's not what it's asking in the context of the work. So what I'd like you to do is you got to find out what a duster is. If you look in the text, about 2/3 of the way through, you'll find the word duster. You got to look for it, though. And essentially, it's a slang term given to something. If it's a duster, it's probably referring to something along those lines. You find the word duster, you look around it, knowing what it is based on what's around it in the text, should be able to know what a duster is. Now, number 4, we've talked about this a few times. When it says, what economic effect did World War I have on the Plains wheat farmers? Now, when we've talked about economy, every time we've done terms, like in our key terms, we've talked about money. So how did the economic effect of the war affect farmers? You look for the money, you should find your answer. Number 5, when it says list 3 pieces of evidence that support the idea that the Dust Bowl was the worst hard time, if you look up the 3 bad things that people were affected or what they were, or what, if you look in the text, what the Dust Bowl caused or what did it do, especially in that last 2/3, that's where you should be finding some of your answers. If you even look, there's a title of a book called The Worst Hard Time. You look around there, you're probably going to find it. And then lastly, for number 6, it says, did most people leave the Southern Plains during the Dust Bowl years? If you look in there, if you've done all the other work for all the other questions, you've probably run into it at some point. So if you look around there and said, did most people leave the Southern Plains? If you look in there, it'll probably tell you if some left, if they didn't. You got to tell me, did most people leave the Southern Plains? And if they did, where did they go? And if they stayed, what did they do? So if you look at, take a little bit of time, hopefully use this video to kind of help you answer some of those questions. Hopefully this helps. And if you have any further questions, I know there's a place on there for you to send me a private message or a question on anything. You got a question on anything, please, I don't want to see any answers that say, I don't know. If you ask, I will help you get through it. Looks like a lot, but trust me, you take a little bit of time, this should be no problem. And we'll get through this together. Please send me in those questions. If you have anything, I am here to help. All right, I'll see you on Tuesday.